Hello again, viewers. Marina Ravenberg here with the second part or second installment of agricultural astrology. This is the second example that I'm going to give, and if you've watched the first part, then you already know what time it is, so to speak. And if you haven't watched it, I would recommend giving that one a watch. But in case you haven't, I'm simply outlining a new method of astrology called agricultural astrology, specifically or particularly specifically or particularly being able to measure the geographical structure, outline, and fertility, and overall worth or value that a region or patch of land, anything ranging from a region to a patch of land, can have or has for an individual as well as a group of individuals. So just overall, as in how beneficial and how fertile overall in broad lines a region or a patch of land is. Anything between a region or a patch of land, you name it. It can be a district, it can be a certain amount of acres in terms of soil, it can be an outright state or even a complete country. Bottom line is we're focusing on specifically the value of that terrestrial domain. Okay, so the value of a geographical region, and by value I mean the value that it has to society and to mankind as a whole. So yeah, let's continue. Again, if you haven't watched part one, I strongly suggest that you give part one a view. This is example number two that I'm going to be treating. Watch part one so that you're familiar with everything, etc. So yeah, let me continue. This in this second example, it's going to be more of the same. Okay, the question here is how fertile is the Comwine district? Comwine district is a district in my country of residence, similar to the first example, Broken Ferry or Broco Pondo, as it's pronounced natively to the local inhabitants. And Comwine is pronounced Comowene, since it's Dutch in terms of origin. Yeah. So in any case, it's going to be the same. How we're going to measure how fertile Comwine district is, and it's just cast like a basic orrery chart. It's 6:23 yesterday, Paramaribo, Suriname. At the time of this recording, it is Friday, October the 30th. So hence it being yesterday. Okay, so we're going to measure it. The first house, like I already explained, outlines the state of the terrain, whether it's rugged, rigid terrain, or the adverse. The first house is ruled by 8 degrees in Taurus, and see what 8 degrees stands for. 8 degrees stands for perseverance, with Uranus also there in Taurus. Uranus in Taurus simply means that the place has, like I said in the first video, the place has hidden treasures. It means that there are treasures in the form of precious metals and minerals that can be found in decent to really good amounts. Okay, so bottom line is that the place has treasures and the story. For the rest, in terms of the geographical structure of the terrain itself, the very fact that the terrain is ruled by Taurus stands for the fact that the terrain is soft in nature, as opposed to rugged and rigid and dangerous, etc. Venus rules Taurus. And since Venus deals with more things of a sympathetic nature, converted to the context of this question or placed within the context of this question, it stands for the fact that the terrain is Comwine district is soft, and the soil and the land overall is soft and dense. Dense as in more loose. Think of a swamp or a swamp-like environment, or an entire region that has one or multiple swamps or used to be a swamp, or simply has general soft land, so land that's more like a savanna as opposed to mountainous terrain, if you will, or a terrain that's hard to navigate or get around or move around in. So yeah, that's what the first house tells us. The second house tells us about the financial value that it brings to the table in regards to this region. It's ruled by 8 degrees in Gemini. We're going to see what 8 degrees stands for. 8 degrees stands for contradictory. It stands for the fact that it's dualistic in nature. Within this context, or within the context of the question, the 8 degrees in Gemini ruling over here stands for the fact that there are multiple things that the land can be made use of, or primarily two things that generally speaking oppose each other, which we'll see later on. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. The 22 degrees in Gemini that thingy is in, that the North Node is in. The North Node focuses on what the land should be used for in terms of full potential theory. Theory simply stands for this theory, this video in itself, and the content being a theory that has practical merit or value, and that's what this land should be used for. I'm sorry, I have mail. Now, the third house. The third house is ruled by Cancer. The third house simply stands for everyday use that this thing can be made of. Everyday use that this region can be made of and should be made of. It's ruled by Cancer, and that already stands for the fact that the soil is fertile, very fertile at that even, but we'll get to that. Again, let's not get ahead of ourselves. 5 degrees in Cancer. 5 degrees stands for acquisition. It stands for acquiring a specific kind of worth from the soil in terms of extraction. And simply converted within the context of our question, it simply stands for fertility, as in it's good for agricultural purposes, and that's what it should be used for on a day-to-day basis. And yeah, here it comes, the main answer to the question, how fertile is Combine District? The fourth house, which represents fertility in terms of agricultural potential, is ruled by Leo, 1 degrees in Leo, or 1 degree in Leo. The one stands for undirected, undirected within the context of it having great potential, but the potential not being put to full, either full or partial, or even good use at all. Bottom line is that this degree tells us, and the fact that Leo rules here stands for the fact that the land, Combine District, as a district as a whole, terrestrially speaking, is very, very fertile. On a scale of 1 to 10, think 8, 8.5. But it also tells us that at the moment of this recording, for example, as well as in general overall, the land will not be made optimal use of. Okay, that's what that 1 degree tells us. As you can see, the rest, everything we set up to this point supports it. The first house says that the land is soft and dense, okay, as opposed to rugged and rigid and hard to traverse, hard to navigate. The landscape is soft, it's dense, it's a swamp-like environment, and it's a lowland as a whole, similar to a savanna, as opposed to a mountainous terrain or mountainous terrain that's hard to move around in. The second as well as third house say that the land should be used for agricultural purposes alongside other things. And yeah, now I'm getting back to the second house. The first house also said that there are hidden treasures. That's what the second house means by being dualistic. The land can be made use of either through agricultural purposes or through mining for precious metals and minerals, to be precise or exact. But its strongest potential, as Leo indicates, as the ruler of the fourth house, definitely speaks for itself in terms of its strong suit. Its strong suit is agricultural potential. The land is very fertile. The fifth house doesn't apply, like I've said in the first video. The sixth house simply stands for labor-based potential. So all the activity that the land has to offer in terms of employment to individual or an individual or multiple individuals. Mercury is 28 degrees in Libra and the Sun is 6 degrees in Scorpio. The 28 degrees in Libra stands for sentimental. That doesn't really apply here. It doesn't really have a meaning. And the Sun is 6 degrees in Scorpio, and 6 degrees stands for political. That also doesn't have a meaning. In general, it simply means that employment in this district is, let's just say it's meager. That's what Mercury indicates, but the Sun indicates that there is financial potential, tremendous financial potential, specifically in agriculture. That's why it's positively aspected to the third house. but it's also negatively aspected to the fourth house, which indicates that that it's not being made use of. The seventh house. In the first example, I said that the seventh house didn't apply, but that was in regards to that particular example. In this example, the seventh house does apply. The seventh house simply represents the, let's just say, individuals overall, specifically, that can make optimal use of this terrain. And by that, within the context of everything I've already said, it stands for farming, generally speaking. Farmers can benefit tremendously. That's why part of fortune is here, and it's in Scorpio, 26 degrees in Scorpio. 26 stands for fighter. 26 simply stands for rebellious, as in being determined and persevering, etc. Bottom line is, the seventh house simply indicates that the land has tremendous potential for agricultural entrepreneurs and people that engage in small time farming and the likes. Tremendous financial potential. That's why it's in Scorpio. The 8th, ninth, 10th, and 11th house do not apply, like I've said in the first example, by default. And now the 12th house, and like again, like I said, most likely, okay, similar to the first example, the 12th house most likely indicates maritime activity, as in naval activity or naval structure, as in is there water present in that region in the form of a creek, a river, um, a lake, you name it. And as you can tell, there is a lot of activity in the 12th house. The 12th house has four celestial bodies in it. Chiron is the first up. Hold on. Chiron is 5 degrees in Aries, stands for uncertainty. Uncertainty simply stands for uncertainty in terms of how versatile any naval activity in that region is. The rest will elaborate on that. Mars is 16 degrees at its strongest in Aries. The 16 degrees stands for nature again. It stands for the fact that there is a lot of, of vegetation present in the there's a lot of vegetation present in whatever water, if there are any present in that region. The moon is 18 degrees in Aries. 18 stands for mobility. See, and there you go. These two support what the moon is saying. The moon is saying everything up to this point, Chiron, Mars, as well as the moon are saying that there is not a lot of water present in the area. The area does not have a lot of water present, but the small amount of water that is present does see to good mobility in terms of being able to move around the district a lot. Or having access to, at the very least, 60% of the area, to put it that way, roughly estimated. And last but not least, Lilith, or the black moon, is 0 degrees in Taurus. 0 degrees stands for demanding. Okay, keyword is demanding. In this context, it simply means that that even the small amount of naval presence in that area in the form of water does have hidden treasure. It does have financial potential in terms of precious metals and minerals and general things that have worth to society as a whole and to mankind. So yeah, that's the gist of it. And now I'm going to go over to the document so that you can see for yourself how accurate this all of this is. This is the Wikipedia section on the Comwine district, and I'm just going to go briefly over it. Comwine is a district of Suriname located on the right bank of the Surinamese River, or the Suriname River, etc., 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 etc. History, forts, resorts, etc. Nature and tourism. The Bramspen Nature Reserve is located in Comwine because it's an important nesting ground for the leatherback sea turtles and the green sea turtle. The former plantation of Frederiksdorp is located, etc., etc. Okay, you can see for yourself. It's alongside the ocean. That already speaks for itself. Transport. Comwine used to be isolated. A ferry opened between these two regions, Meersdorp and Paramaribo, etc., etc., etc. Economy. The economy is still largely built around agriculture. There you go, see? And the industry in the district is related to agriculture as well. That's what I'm talking about. You can see for yourself, this is what the region looks like. And you can see for yourself how accurate everything is in reality. Um, how accurate everything is. This is what Common District looks like in terms of outline with its borders and everything. And if I turn off the satellite view, you can see for yourself what the region looks like. You can see a river running through here coming in from the Atlantic Ocean, and a main river runs through here with one branching off and going through the rest of the district. Only a small part, okay, of the district is isolated, specifically in the middle. But for the rest, the Surinamese River or the Suriname River also runs along this side, so you can see for yourself how accurate it is. And this is what the landscape looks like. Again, you can see for yourself. Okay, it's dense swampland, no mountainous terrain or anything like that. It's literally just swampland. It's swampland for the very absolute most part. Yeah, and it speaks for itself. Okay, the majority of people practice agriculture, etc., etc., etc. I'm also, if you want to see exactly what the district looks like in terms of, just for the sake of accuracy and for the sake of this subject, then you can also view it in the link in the description below, as well as any other useful things that you want, as in the link to the article and the link to Google Maps, etc. My point is summarized. Yeah, you can see for yourself. Okay. How fertile is Common District? Very, very fertile for agricultural purposes. I know this from personal experience as well because I have visited this region multiple times and I know how fertile it is. Okay, the land is heavily used as agriculture because that's by far its strong suit. You can, metaphorically speaking, just eat a fruit or a vegetable that has seeds or one seed at least, and then simply throw it alongside the road, or just spit it out, and 50% chance, literally and figuratively speaking, 50% chance that that seed will sprout into a vegetable plant or a fruit plant. The ground is generally soft, not rigid, more swamp-like, and has hidden treasures ranging from decent to good amounts. Again, correct. Not a lot of water to it, but the area is mainly accessible through it. And there you go. See, speaks for itself in terms of how accurate it is. Similar to the first example. In the first example, we treated Brokopondo or Broken Ferry, and now it's Calm Wine. You can see how effective everything is. This is also why this region was heavily used by the Dutch, so by the Netherlands, in times of colonization. A lot of plantations run alongside it. As you can see here, one of the most populated of Suriname's district, Kamwang, relies primarily on agriculture for its income, with plantations dating back to the first Dutch colonization of the area in the 17th century. Lot of plantations here. Okay, I have no idea how many plantations the Dutch had, but can definitely look it up. Hold on for a second. You'll have to excuse me. This is going to be in Dutch. Remember this. This is a database with plantations from Suriname, and you can simply look everything up alongside the. You can look everything up in terms of district. Let's just start with alongside. Look at this. See, plantations in this location running alongside the Kamwang River. The Kamwang River is simply what I showed you. Okay, this is the Kamwang River, specifically this main branch that branches off here into another side branch and that leads to here. And this is the Suriname River or the Surinamese River running alongside the border of Kamwang District. So alongside here alone, okay, alongside this river alone, the Kamwang River, they had, I have no idea how many plantations these are, but yeah, you better believe it's a lot. Look at that. This has to be at least 100 plantations, at least. And yeah, that's what it says in Dutch. Plantations at this location, and then you have the names of the respective plantations. I'm just going to click on one or two of them just for good measure's sake. It says location Kamwang River. The size was 500 acres. Products coffee and cotton in 1792, and then only coffee in 1830. That was a plantation called Akkerboom. Akkerboom simply means agricultural tree, roughly translated. Um, this one, okay, also alongside the Common River, 104 acres, again coffee, and then just general produce in the form of vegetables, etc. In 1827 and 1819, respectively. This one was called Greendale, Groenendaal. That's how it's pronounced in Dutch. Literally translated means Greendale, or translates to Greendale. But so yeah, you get the point of it, viewer. In any case, you can see for yourself how accurate everything is. Everything is accurate down to the letter. This is the second and last example that I'm going to treat. So you can see how effective agricultural astrology is, and you can measure a region's fertility with it. Okay, general guidelines, things that you need to keep in mind, especially astrologers watching. Just cast it as a basic orrery chart, but the values change specifically. The value of the houses primarily. I'm going to also update the article and insert the values so that it's clear and documented. The first house stands for the general composition of the terrain. Is the terrain rough? Is the terrain soft? Is the terrain rugged, mountainous, dangerous terrain? Or is it the opposite? Is it swamp-like terrain? You name it. Or is it something in between? What is it exactly? The second house gives away what financial benefits in terms of material riches the soil has. The third house simply stands for what use can be made of the terrain on a day-to-day basis, either in terms of extracting resources or in terms of moving about the location, in terms of transport, etc., and just general commute or commuting. The fourth house measures its fertility. The fourth house is definitely, for measuring fertility specifically, the number one in this context. It simply measures and it gives you, or it displays or conveys how fertile a land is specifically. The fifth house, the fifth, the eighth, the ninth, the tenth, and the 11th do not apply. The sixth house stands for what employment opportunities the land has to offer if people were to settle in it in terms of benefits. The seventh stands for how specifically individuals in the form of entrepreneurs and other small-time businessmen or businesswomen can benefit from it, either one or a small group of individuals. And last but not least, the 12th house indicates the naval presence in that region. Naval in the sense of water. What's the presence of water in that region? Is there a lot of water in that region? Okay, is there no water in that region, etc.? You name it. Okay, similar to in this example specifically, the moon indicated that you can move around easily and you have access primarily to the entire district, or at the very least, a good chunk of the district. So naval mobility is the key word to keep in mind here, which is again is true, as you can see for yourself here. If you want to access this region, you have access through either the Atlantic Ocean to the north, the Common River running down the middle and to the southeastern part of the district. And if you want access to the western part of the district, you can use the Suriname River running alongside the border of said district. So yeah, there you go. And I'll hear it if there are any other questions, but I hope everything is clear. That's why I gave two examples after all. And yeah, I'm done. I shall see you guys later. Bye.